You know, there's a secret that film distributors don't want you to know. I've been working in film for over 12 years. I started in talent management, did that for 10 years where we had, 60 clients at one point. Then I've moved over to film sales about 2-3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, and have kind of been working in that as I've started producing as well. So I have a lot of experience seeing kind of all the behind the scenes things that are going on. What's always interesting to me is that there's not a lot of transparency in general in the industry. There's not a lot of information out there about everything, about the contracts, about how things work, what they do. There's really not. And that's part of the reason, of course, I made this channel, is to kind of provide education, kind of show the behind the scenes, behind the curtain type of thing. I think that's really important for filmmakers because, let's be honest, like a lot of filmmakers do get taken advantage of, in my opinion, by distributors. I'm not saying all distributors, a lot of good distributors out there too. And a lot of people that I've met that are truly passionate about film, but there are some that aren't, that take advantage in that way. And I think the biggest secret that distributors really don't want you to know is that a huge marketing cap that they put into their contracts. And when we say marketing cap, I'm talking about when it's 15-20K in the contract that says it's going to market it, right? Marketing and PR, whatever all those costs that they have. And it's not always true that they spend that. Sometimes they'll have a 30K marketing cap and maybe they won't even spend that. Maybe they will spend 5K. Maybe that's all they'll spend. And what does that mean? Well, the rest of this money, the other 25K, that goes to them first because it has to be recouped first in the contract. So that means basically in that case, let's say the movie makes 30K, they would have netted 25K if they spent 5K, right? They would have netted 25K. You would have gotten $0 from that because everything goes back to recouping first. Now, let's not forget, they take off the gross, their percentage too. So 25, 30, 35% usually, anywhere between those. So it's actually less that's going to recoup because it goes off the gross, then it goes to recoupment. So that's kind of how these distributors make money. Now, again, if you're a filmmaker, you're going to be outraged and you're like, that's criminal, blah, blah, it's awful. Yes, some of these contracts are not fair and are bad. There are distributors to avoid and where it's better to self-distribute, honestly. But that's not the case in all of them. In the ones that are ethical, and that I think there are a lot that are good distributors, they will actually spend money on marketing and PR and actually use their marketing cap. And I do know some, and like even recently, there's one that did a theatrical run. I know they spent a lot of money on it. They spent a decent amount of money on this. So if they spend 20K, let's say marketing cap is 20K, and they spend 20K on the marketing cap, that's good. You want that. You do want people spending money on it, but you want to make sure it's being spent correctly, that they're actually doing it. It's a reputable distributor. Because if we're throwing, let's say 20K into marketing ads, let's say Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, let's say we're doing that, we should be getting a return, or else what's the point in spending that? So if we should be making that completely back, or we should be ideally making $2 for $1, whatever it is, more than we're spending. But that means it's all coming back. If that's happening, then it's worth it. Then it'll eventually pay off for you as well. It'll get more widely seen, which is what all filmmakers want. You want to be as widely seen as possible. So then it's a good thing. But the problem is a lot of filmmakers, they don't talk to the distributor and asking them specifics. What's this marketing plan specifically? How much is getting spent on ads? How much on PR? How much on other things? You have the breakdown. Can you share some of the things that you're spending on? All of that's important. It's really important to know that if they spend any more, obviously you need to give permission for that. That should be in the contract. But maybe you don't want 20K marketing cap. Maybe you like the distributor, but they're not great at marketing. And maybe you're going to do the marketing because you're amazing at it, which I would highly recommend. So you don't want them to keep the first 50, 20K through their marketing, which maybe isn't good marketing. At that point, maybe you lower the marketing cap, you negotiate, bring them down to 10, 5K, and then they're still doing marketing, but maybe you do it where, okay, we do 5K or 7K. If it's going well and it's making money and it's getting out there and everything, then with permission, you can increase the marketing cap. So they have to ask you permission. I think that's not a bad idea. That's a really good idea. That can help your film a lot. That way you still have a partner that can spend money, but it's kind of incrementally if there's success and with your permission, and you're more a partner. And I think that's the biggest thing that I know from filmmakers that have kind of had bad deals. The money is a huge one. The really bad contracts, that's definitely one of them. The other thing is really bad communication that I hear. There's a lot of filmmakers that complain that once they signed, they never heard from their distributor again. That's awful. Like, you need communication. And, how I work as a sales agent, all those things, are negotiated or important to me. Also, all the filmmakers I want to have a long-term relationship with and do well for. So, you guys come back for your next films, all that type of stuff. So that's the way for me to do good business, in my opinion, reputation wise. But I think it's really important to keep all these things in mind, because once you cross over to this side of like, okay, we're going to go out for distribution, you need to really think about contracts and what you're signing and what you're signing up for business wise. These are people that will have your film for a long time, because these contracts are long. A lot of them are 7 years, 10 years. I've seen 15 years. They're long. You want to really make sure you're getting the right partner. So when you're vetting them, ask all these questions. Obviously, a lot of these meetings are still based on how you feel about it. Ask all the questions away, trust your gut type of thing, but also go to some of the filmmakers they've worked with before. Ask about their experiences. How did it go? Did they enjoy working with them? How did everything? You can ask. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can actually ask the distributor, hey, do you have anyone I can just reach out to see what their experience was like? That should also tell you a lot. I think these things are important to ask, important to think about, and really to see in the contract. If you want to make sure that your film's taken care of, because if you spend 2-3 years on something or longer, usually longer, then don't be too quick with this. Make sure you get the right people on board, the right partner, or get a sales agent like me, obviously, or producer's rep. You can get that too. Just, someone that negotiates, knows the people a bit better. It's very trust-based, and it's not an exact science. You know what I mean? There are distributors, for some people did well, others complain about it. So it's not an exact science. There's mixed reactions sometimes. So at the end of the day, once you've done all your due diligence, then you can decide. And look, maybe your movie's very small budget. I'd say if your budget's like 100K or less and you're not getting great offers, it might be worth to do self-distribution, especially at that budget level. If you do good in marketing, you can make that back. But anyway, that's what I recommend. Definitely subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next week.